Woke up at 5:30. I had to check the international clock on the internet because I wasn't sure if it was 5:30 p.m. or a.m. Because it gets kind of dark over in my part of the building where I live. It gets it's pretty quiet, luckily, so I couldn't fucking tell. I've been doing sleep experiments for a couple years, and I keep finding that no matter what I do as far as trying to whittle my sleep down to a manageable group of hours, whether it's I get 4 hours of sleep and I try to get 4 hours of sleep, at some point what happens is I'll have to go down for like fucking 10 hours to make up the sleep. Now the science boys will tell you you can't catch up on sleep, like it's not a thing, but the science boys, who funds the science boys, you know, Merrick, the Sackler family, I don't trust them. You know, they don't have our best interests in mind. They produce the results in any way necessary that the people who are funding them want the results produced. And since you went to school to get that little piece of paper on your wall, you better do it, or else you lose a piece of paper, and God forbid you still owe money on that piece of paper. You're trapped, basically. You're trapped. They become professional stooges, and that's it. You have to do what you're told. You're in the gang, and there's no way out of it. But yeah, they've always maintained that you can't catch up on sleep, meaning, you know, if you try to, you know what I'm saying, I don't have to explain what the fuck I'm saying, but it seems like you have to, because that's what keeps happening with me. I'll try to get, you know, I'll be going a week where I'm getting 4 hours of sleep and then getting up, and I get my body naturally into doing that, and then eventually I'll just go down and I'll wake up like 10 hours later, and then the whole thing resets again. What I'm trying to determine is how long you need to be out for the systems in place to do whatever they have to do to refit you for this area here. As I've talked about many times, I don't think sleep has much to do with being tired or your body being tired. It gets tired, right? But as I pointed out before, you could sit around and watch TV all day and you still become tired. Now, are you becoming tired? Or is there something telling you you need to go to sleep? And you might think, well, no, you know, your limbic system starts going nuts, you start walking into things. And again, I would say, is that a symptom of being tired? Or is that the system, your body's system's telling you, okay, you got to go to sleep now because we need to do some shit. And by doing shit, resetting you or reacclimating you to be able to experience this area in the way that they determine you should be. Because if you fight that and you stay up, you know, and you can do that with drugs, you know, stimulants, not just like illegal stuff, but Adderall. I was on Adderall for years, which is basically just, it's meth. It's with the salt attached to it. And the reason they attach the salt is so that they can actually prescribe it to people, because it's not amphetamine, it's amphetamine salts. So when you stay up longer than, you know, you normally should or they want you to, you'll start to hallucinate. You start to see things, you start to hear things that aren't there, or are they there, and you're just seeing them. That's because what happens is, and I've been in this situation myself, you're not imagining these things, because I've seen things staying up on benders that, you know, I don't know if I could say I've never seen before, but something that was certainly not in my imagination, whether it's a a figure or a certain sound or certain noises. These aren't things that I'm imagining. So what I believe could be the case is that these are other frequencies that you are picking up. And I think that if you were to stay awake, you would naturally see more and more of this stuff, which seems to be the case because, I mean, if you talk to someone who's, well, and you don't have to talk to them, but if someone has been abusing amphetamines or something for like a week and they haven't been to sleep, they have a whole different world going on around them. A whole different world that they're interacting with. And I would posit that that's because that world is there. Those frequencies are there. And if they don't attune you to this one, you'll start seeing all those. And that's kind of what the point of sleep is so they can fine-tune you back to this area. Or as I sometimes say, refit the screen, like they refit this screen here, so that you'll be tuned into this one. They retune you back in. And for this process, you can't be in your body to leave your body. But you're attached to your body through, and I've gone through this many times with photos. I'm not going to go through the whole thing again. But you aren't, as many of us know, you're not your body. What you are is actually the energy that's inside it. The electromagnetic energy that causes your nerve endings to feel pain, and then it sends a signal to your brain, all that stuff, that's what you are. And for whatever reason, I can't really figure it out. You have to be out of your brain. I am out of my brain. You have to be out of your body for them to do whatever this reset is that happens while you're sleeping. And when you're outside of the body, you're still attached to it, but you're kind of in between all these frequencies. And that's when you'll experience dreams. Which is a whole nother aspect of it, which I've studied for years and come up with very little in way of the point of those, how they work. A lot of times, though, there are things I've picked up over the years. Like, I'll go to places, I'll keep going back to the same place sometimes. And while there isn't any time in these dimensional spaces or frequencies or whatever you want to call it, there's no time there. Still, time passes in some fashion because I've gone, like I had one place where I used to live and I would return there. And at one point, one night I was there, or whenever I was sleeping, they were building or adding on to the building. And I'd been there a couple times and they were always doing this sort of work on the building. And then one time when I went there, the work was done. And I was like, oh wow, they finally finished this. So some kind of time passes in some fashion, even though there is no time. You don't experience time when you're dreaming, and that's why sometimes you can go to sleep for a couple hours and feel like you've been somewhere for a lifetime. And in the same way, you can have a dream, and in the dream you just go to a store or something, and you wake up and it's 10 hours later. As far as I know, from what I understand and what I've found, time as a thing only exists here in this 3D realm where we are. And I was talking to someone the other day about how things in our world are possibly manipulated by the farmers. And there have been people that have put forth the idea that they, in whatever way, they've done this, is to find a way to operate outside time. So wherever they go, this person was referring to it as a time bubble, where they can come out of this place and they're in some other area where time doesn't pass. So there they can come in and out of the line and manipulate things in the way they want. I don't know. I mean, again, there's not a whole lot of research about this kind of stuff. In fact, you're ridiculed and mocked for talking about it. And the guys that have a good analytical mind or a good scientific mind for this kind of stuff aren't allowed to talk about this stuff. Well, I mean, professionals aren't allowed to talk about this stuff. And by no means am I saying the best of the best are the ones that are co-opted or that actually become scientists or in a field and get some kind of degree, because that is not the case. In fact, the opposite is. There's a lot of guys working there. I know some that in the medical field too, that you know, you'd never think they were a doctor or a scientist just by having a conversation with them. School, if you pay the money, all right, unless you're just not showing up. If you're just not showing up, or there's something like that, or you committed some kind of crime or something, you won't get a degree. But as long as you show up and you pay the money, you're going to get those pieces of paper on your wall. They want you to have those pieces of paper because then they control you. Then you do what they say. You have to do what they say, or else you lose the paper, you lose your livelihood, you can't make money, and in many cases, you owe a lot of money for that piece of paper on the wall. So all this kind of research is just being done by just randos, you know, people like myself that just have the time or make the time to hone in on certain aspects of the human condition, or the I don't like the word human. I don't know. I lose words sometimes. I just lost like a common word to look at the way this place works and to try to understand it better. You know, there's a whole list of terminology that's been developed for people that try to do such things, whether it's conspiracy theorist, schizo. And in some places, not some places, in some circumstances, if you show an aptitude for this kind of thing early in life, they'll try to get you early in life and say you need mental health help, or they'll, you know, put you in a ward and try to get you on all kinds of medication, which just basically slows you down. That's all any of that stuff does. Those psychotropic drugs. It's a lot of serotonin, screwing with your serotonin. But what people don't understand is it's not creating these things, this extra dopamine in your mind. It's taking them from a different part and putting them all up front. So you end up having a deficit inside you for the stuff you took. And so you end up like a seesaw effect, which means you have to stay on the medication, basically. And when you come off, it's tough. Like, I've been fighting with the Vexer. It's the last medication I still take, just because it's such a pain in the ass coming off it. Years I've been struggling with that. You know, I really got to focus on that and figure out how to get off that. But yeah, I mean, if you show an interest in any of this stuff and you're capable, you probably want to keep it to yourself. Still, you know, to this day, always had your power level, especially around normies. Just be like, yeah, it's, you know, it's gonna rain, I think. You see the sports ball? Yeah, you know, I think Taco Bell has a new menu item. You know, just whatever you got to talk to these people about, and you keep that other shit to yourself. Certainly don't make fucking videos about it and post it on YouTube. That would be retarded. Don't blame the teacher. Blame the school.